Coming up next, Unscrewed, followed by Anime Unleashed at midnight.
Coming up tonight, lies in the sky. Why Americans aren't getting the real story behind the UFO sightings in Mexico. Plus, punk rock gets political. We got the lead singer of NoFX in our studios to give us the lowdown. And our girl gone wired is a lingerie lover and says she loves everything about men. Really, Adrian? You love everything? Hey, everyone, I'm Laura Swisher, and you're watching Unscrewed.
Unscrewed. That's right.
And here he is, a man whose friends opted out of their cell phone in plan as soon as he joined. It's Martin Sargent.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for being here on Unscrewed. Wonderful to have you in the audience. Yeah, that was fairly embarrassing, Laura, when that happened to me, but what was more embarrassing is when I joined the MCI Friends and Family Plan and all my family opted out. That was a big shot to the ego.
You should have let him know. Just join in and, you know.
I know. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Unscrewed, the show that walks the beach of internet culture at sundown, searching for shark's teeth and pretty shells, maybe for a necklace or maybe to put it in an ashtray on the back of the toilet. I'm head beachcomber Martin Sandy Sargent. Speaking of collecting, the weirdest thing happened to me last night when I was out wandering the interstate looking for cans. I was scanning the weeds when I looked up to see a man standing before me, a man who looked just like screen legend Steve Guttenberg. He stared at me and said, "I am not Steve Guttenberg. I just look like him. I'm actually a magical tech genie who roams the interstate granting high-tech wishes to all the down-and-out drifters I meet." Then he took off his shirt and touched his nipple, which I thought was kind of weird. Then I noticed he was glowing. So I thought, he really is a genie, come to grant me 3 high-tech wishes. Right off the bat, I knew what I wanted for my first wish. I wanted my favorite adventure person action figure, Ranger Wayne, to be turned into a real man who could visit me in my daily life. And just like that, Ranger Wayne walked among us, a real man.
Martin.
Ranger Wayne.
Martin, the floodwaters have reached the building. We need to evacuate immediately in my hoverboat.
You're right, Ranger Wayne. There's nothing more we can do here. Let me just power down.
Come quickly. Come with me now, Martin.
Yeah, I love Ranger Wayne, but I did catch him banging my girlfriend last night. So I had to cane him, but I think everything's cool between us now. Point of this all is, the tech genie was real, and I had 2 more wishes to burn. So next, I wished I could hold intern gladiator matches in the parking garage at work, and that wish was also granted. I guess I got kind of lucky with that one because it really doesn't have much to do with technology at all. Anyway, I had to really think hard about my last wish. And then it hit me. I wanted a pair of magical suspenders with the power to grant me as many wishes as I wanted for the rest of my life. But the whole tech genie said that was against the rules, so he said I could only get non-magical suspenders, to which I said, yeah, okay, that's cool. And just like that, the tech genie vanished into the night, leaving me with these. Yeah, and with a valuable lesson learned. I learned that technology is not always about cold, hard science. It's also about magic and rainbows and unicorns. And I'm just realizing I should have wished for a unicorn. But every time now I look down at my suspenders, I remember that tech genie is out there somewhere, wandering the interstate, sprinkling magic on drifters, and that makes me happy. You know, that Ranger Wayne, got bang like he's one crazy bastard. I dig hanging out with him so much. I've been bringing him into the office with me. And you know, for a guy who spent his whole life as a tiny plastic toy, Ranger Wayne sure has the gift of gab with the ladies. Here, check him out today by the water cooler at work.
Hi, I'm Ranger Wayne.
Hi, Ranger Wayne.
I'm an adventure person turned into a man, and I've got a hoverboat.
That's nice.
Maybe you'd like a ride.
I don't think so.
We'll be back when the floodwaters rise, baby.
There you have it. What do you think of my look?
That's great.
My magic suspenders.
You're going to bring back the Mork look.
No, I'm actually going for the Gallagher look. soft comedy, man. Hey, tonight's show is more mysterious and magical than Doug Henning. Lead singer for punk band NoFX and founder of punkvoter.com going to jump into the Unscrewed mosh pit to talk turkey on the upcoming election. And our girl gone wired is so hot that if someone dangled her like 4 feet in front of me, but just out of reach, I'd just keep walking and walking until I fell over and died. But first, we're going to visit with Unscrewed's favorite conspiracy buff and author of best-selling book Alien Agenda. Here via satellite from Dallas, Texas is Jim Mars to talk about Mexico. How you doing, Jim? Great to have you back on the program. So what is going on down in Mexico?
Oh, man, it's really exciting down there. First off, there's more and more people who are taking UFOs more and more seriously.
Is that because of the overpopulation?
And now it seems there's more and more countries taking UFOs seriously.
Well, this was sort of reported a little bit here in the American press. There was some UFO sightings in Mexico that really couldn't be easily explained away. Tell us about those.
Well, it happened back on May the 3rd, and you had 8 Mexican pilots in one plane. That sounds like the beginning of a joke, but actually they were out looking for drug smugglers.
Okay, I think everything's been explained right now. 8 Mexicans in a plane looking for drugs. Maybe they saw something, no?
No, actually they didn't see anything. But what they did was have some very sophisticated radar and forward-looking infrared, known as FLIR. And when they turned on this radar and FLIR, because they thought there might be something out there, they found this giant glowing round object, and as they watched, it began to break into different objects. And on the tapes of their flight, you can hear them start counting off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 11 objects appeared on this thing, and they brought the film back, and the Mexican Defense Department studied it, and quite frankly, they were amazed. They couldn't figure out what it was.
I know, it's really weird that you would have 11 weather balloons all in that close proximity.
That's right. But here's where the really weird part comes in. The head of the Mexican Defense Department, who would be the equivalent of our Donald Rumsfeld, turned over the tape to a broadcast journalist named Jaime Maussan and said, "We can't figure out what this is. Ask your audience if they know what it is."
That's pretty cool.
Now, hey, Martin, how'd you like Donald Rumsfeld to hand over gun tape from a military aircraft to you and I and say, "Show this to the audience," and ask them what it might be?
I would love that. Rumsfeld, bring it on, my friend, bring it on. But that's the difference,
right.
I guess, between the way they treat this stuff in Mexico as opposed to the United States. Here, we would cover that kind of thing up for good reason, right, Jim?
That's exactly right, but you know, this is interesting because this means Mexico now becomes the 3rd or 4th country in the world. France issued a report a few years ago that says it's all real. Russia's been very interested in UFOs for a long time. Belgium issued some statements about them. Brazil's big on UFOs. So we're the last to find out about this, but it seems that these other countries now are breaking ranks. They're not adhering to the secrecy that's been laid down in this country.
Hey, Jim, we got to go real quick. Who do people in the conspiracy theory support for our president, Bush or the other guy?
Kerry?
I'm joking. It's Kerry.
I think most of them go for none of the above.
Because they're all part of the Illuminati, aren't they?
Well, you know, you can vote for Skull or you can vote for Bones. You're going to get the same secret society guy.
All right, Jim, I want to come back and maybe we'll talk about that issue. There he is, Jim Mars. Always a pleasure to have him on the show. And my friend, you were fantastic in Jurassic Park. For more info, check out jimmars.com. Coming up next, Fat Mike of the punk band NoFX has founded a site to fire up young voters. Find out why after the break.
Anime Unleashed, next.
Welcome back to Unscrewed. When many Americans think of punk rock, they think of loudness, orange mohawks, and studded leather belts. But perhaps it's more accurate to think of social change. From the punk band NoFX and founder of punkvoter.com, here's Fat Mike Burkett. How you doing, man? Great to have you on the program. First of all, couple of observations. You're really not all that fat.
Well,
I mean, did you used to have like an obesity problem back when you got this?
No,
this
I don't
nickname?
know. I really don't know how I got the nickname.
It's fat with an F. It's not fat with a PH.
No. Punk rock is with an F.
Spell
Spell words correctly.
Does it mean something different? Fat and punk rock and hip hop?
One's hip hop. I don't know. One's cool and one is just lazy and, you know.
Lazy, drinks a lot of beer.
I did this trick with my chin, see?
Oh yeah, you are kind of fat. You're right. So you've been leader of this great punk band NoFX since 1983, which is hard to believe because you look very young.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. 20 years.
20 years been doing this band. Have you always been political in your music, even way back in the day, or has things sort of changed with political tides?
We have a song called Reagan Sucks, so. that tells our age right there. But
and I hope that you recorded that back then and not recently.
Yeah, it was a while
mean.
back. Yeah, it was a while back. But no, we've always had political songs. Now we've gotten more political, and now we're politically active. We've never been active before.
Is that common in the punk community, for people who don't know, to have very political music?
Yeah, it is political music.
It is?
Or it used
Really?
to be. Before it got big,
roots?
before it got real big on MTV, and now it's commercialized, it was about politics.
Well, you can't get any more political than what you've done, which is to start a website called punkvoter.com.
Yeah.
What's the story behind your founding the site?
I felt terrible after the 2000 presidential election. I couldn't sleep.
Because you voted for Nader, didn't you?
No,
You felt
I
guilty
didn't.
about that.
No, I didn't. But no, it's just I felt terrible, and I felt I had to do something. I had to unite the punk rock scene, and I know so many bands. I know about 200 bands. So I called up Green Day and the Offspring and a million other bands, and got them all involved.
You say that the main purpose of the site, I think, from what I've been reading on it, is to enlist the help of young voters out there. You're going for sort of like the 18 to 24-year-old age group, right?
Sure.
Is it just to get them to sign up to vote and get them engaged politically, or is there more of an agenda?
It's more of an agenda. We're an anti-Bush website.
Oh, I see.
Yes, and we don't just encourage kids to vote. We tell them what's going on in this country. We're more like a media site. We're like a news site. Mm-hmm. And we're telling kids things they don't normally hear and they don't see because they don't really read the newspaper, watch the news. And, and we encourage them to vote.
It's interesting. I mean, I do read the newspaper, I do read the news, but I'm also looking at your site, and I read things on punkvoter.com that I don't see in the mainstream press. For example, your top story up here tonight is this guy's talking about how George W. Bush's erratic behavior and wide mood swings has the halls of the West Wing buzzing lately as aides privately express growing concern over their leader's state of mind.
Wow, interesting story. I haven't read that one yet.
You haven't read that one? So, I mean, who is writing these stories? If you haven't even read it, I mean, who's doing it?
Well, it just came out today, I think.
This just came out today.
We have a guy named Scott Goodstein. He's in D.C., and he's been working for the Democratic Party for a long time. And he kind of quit doing that and wanted to go more independent. So he puts up stories every day. Mm-hmm. And he usually gets them from the New York Times or AOL News or Indie News, media.com, and I don't know where he got this one.
Have you managed to mobilize a lot of the youth since the inception of the site? Have a lot of kids come to the site and signed up and also registered to vote through your work?
Right, well, a lot of our fans are under 18, but they're out there getting their older brothers and getting their parents and relatives into this movement just by showing them information that we give them. But we're getting an average of 14 million hits a month, which is
pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
that's
good.
A ton of web hits.
It's 500,000 unique visitors a month.
Wow.
So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also have a
that was our goal, is to get 500,000
so
kids.
So you've done it, so now you can stop.
They're not all registered, but they're all into what we're doing, and they're all helping the cause.
How is this different? I mean, I'm remembering back with MTV and their Rock the Vote. How do you guys differentiate yourselves from that?
They're nonpartisan, and we're partisan.
You're definitely very partisan.
I don't like doing politics. I don't like doing interviews. I'd rather be doing a lot of other things.
Are you unhappy to be here right
now?
now?
This is great, Mark. This is a good time. But really, I'd rather be at the bar, really. So.
Yeah? Well, we do that after the show, Fat Mike, so perhaps you can come over and get loaded with us after, and we'll talk politics and whatnot.
All right.
So it's all
I don't
about
mind talking politics. I don't like doing interviews, and I'd rather not be doing this.
You know what you guys need? You need John Kerry to go on MTV or Arsenio Hall show or this show with a saxophone.
He used to play bass too, I think.
He used to play bass because that's really what galvanized all the support behind Bill Clinton. Got the kids behind it was the saxophone thing, don't you think?
Well, yeah. He should be out there more. He should be doing MTV stuff. He should be talking to the kids, and he's not. I don't think he's talking to anybody.
Let's get him on Arsenio.
Yeah.
So what are you specifically trying to get across to all the kids who might be watching this, who might log on to your site? What is the #1 thing that they need to go in order to change this country?
The #1 thing? What can they do?
Yeah, what can they do?
I think it's grassroots. I think it's just convincing 5 people that you know to vote and to vote responsibly. I mean, you can't put a bumper sticker. You can't carry a flag around or a sign. You have to talk to people. You have to make relationships, and that's how we're doing it. I'm playing a lot of shows, and I'm talking to kids. I'm sitting at our booth, and I talk to kids instead of just playing for them, and they appreciate that, and they feel that once they've met someone, there's a connection, and I'll listen to what you have to say. I know you, and I'll watch your DVD. So it's really grassroots. It's really small, really, but
was a really interesting site. It's not really pro-Kerry, from what I can gather. It's not even really pro-Nader. It's just really, really, really anti-Bush. Get him out of the office.
Yeah, well, yes. We can't say that, but well, someone has to do this.
Someone does have to do it, and
everyone has to. You know, a painter has to get the painters union together. I had to get punk rockers together.
Well, a lot of people really appreciate what you're doing. Fat Mike, I really appreciate your coming on the show and telling about it. Fat Mike from No Effect. You got to check out more. Learn all about it at the website punkvoter.com. All right, stick around. We've got big time TNA right after the break. Yeah, there it is. Hey, welcome back. Thank you very much. That's it. Well, it's summertime here on Unscrewed, and that can only mean one thing: animal husbandry. And mouth-watering barbecue. But I've noticed a disturbing trend at this year's Unscrewed barbecues. The younger members of my staff don't eat meat. Instead, they grill mushrooms and roots and various types of husks, which explains why they're all physically weak and translucent. Like my intern Kenneth there. Luckily, internet is doing something about my staff and all of our young people's misperception that a diet high in grilled meats is unhealthy. Take the pork industry. They're fighting the commie pinko vegetarian superstructure that's brainwashing our children with the site porkforkids.com. See, the one fun activity there is to build a virtual sandwich made exclusively of pork. A sandwich of ham, pepperoni, bacon, and Canadian bacon. Now that's a recipe for a strong America. Not to be outdone, America's beef producers have erected Burger Town, a shining online city of beef that's currently celebrating the 100th anniversary of the hamburger. Take the poll. It's time for a backyard grilling party. What is your favorite food to grill? Bratwurst, hamburgers, or steak kebabs? Commie pinko foods like mushrooms, roots, and husks aren't even an option. Finally, there's the Meat Junkies Kids Club, which has a similar poll. It reads, "Hey kids, what's your favorite animal to eat? Bunny, chicken, moo cow, piggy, or turkey?" And the correct answer, that's right, chickens, at 8.7 billion a year. Glad I'm doing my part. So you see, the key to getting kids to eat meat is to make meat fun again. Maybe we should start associating meat with such things kids like friendly clowns, playgrounds, and free toys, and food that's wrapped up like shiny presents. And if all those enticements don't work, we can always get our kids to eat more meat using green ketchup and machines that turn boring old hot dogs into playful cephalopods. Hopefully, after all that, the little ones on the Unscrewed staff will no longer fear good old American meat. There you have it. Anyone want a burger?
All right. He caught it.
He caught it. He's getting it. There you have it. All right, enough of that. Now let's roll up our sleeves and poke around under the hood of the lust truck. It's time for Girls Gone Wired. Tonight's banquet of lubricity is Adrian Tyler. Adrian might look petite, but she has the appetite of a wolf. I know this because once, when I took her out to eat, she ordered and ate an entire suckling pig by herself. She tore into that pig like a rabid dog, a human chainsaw. And when she wasn't cracking bones with her teeth, she was spitting them onto the floor and sucking marrow with long, wet, satisfied slurps, her cheeks glistening with pork fat. I watched in awe as she committed atrocities of decorum against common decency and against that pig. And when she finished, she lit a cigarette and blew the smoke in my general direction, saying, "When I ordered, I thought I was eating with a man, but now I think I'm eating with a woman, and this woman is on a diet." Hey, for more pics of Adrian, why don't you hit her site? By the way, before we go, guess who's on the McDonald's bag nowadays? Laura Swisher, everyone. Oh, yeah! How's that gig working out for you?
It's not actually me.
It's not actually you, but it looks exactly like you. Have yourself a nugget, my friend. All right, just ahead, we'll talk to a man who derives sexual gratification by packing his with Kingsford mesquite briquettes. Stick around. All right, there are a lot of weird sexual fetishes out there, but charcoal briquettes in the Oh, who the... Hold on. Hello? Hello?
Beer in your house?
Wait, who is this?
It's Ranger Wayne, man. How are you?
Have you been drinking my beer?
What are you, my freaking mother? I was a toy man, but now I'm a man. I'm nobody's plaything. And yeah, maybe I've been drinking, and maybe I've been driving your car, too. You want to call the Adventure People police?
Ranger Wayne, you're a man now. You're not a toy anymore, and there are certain rules that people need to obey.
Yeah, Martin. Well, we have a phrase we use in Adventure People land for people like you, and it goes like this. Mind your own freaking business, baby. I'm Ranger Wayne, and I'm a man now.
Listen, man, Ranger Wayne, we're going to talk about this when I get home, all
Do you
right?
have any peanut butter in your house?
Goodbye.
Anywhere?
We'll talk about it when I get home. Damn it, I should have wished for a unicorn. All right, that's all the time we got. We'll have to talk to the Briquette and the Ass Guy tomorrow. Thanks to our friends Jim Mars, Fat Mike, Girl Gone Wired, Adrian, Ranger Wayne, and of course, my best pal, The Switch. Hey, everyone, we'll see you at the bar.
I walks up in the club.